There's nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. Hamlet. Act 2, Scene 2, if you care.
Well, Jacob knows a lot of Hamlet by heart, don't you?
Fair amount.
Fair amount. Yeah.
It's a
Because
good
I was
one.
like, when you started talking, I was like, wait a minute. I know this. I know this.
Now, of course, he's talking to Rosencrantz about how Denmark is a prison, and that's how he thinks of it. But aside from that negative connotation,
It's a solid quote.
I like the idea of having your perspective influence how you. Wow, where am I going with this sentence right
No,
now?
like your perspective affects your reality, is what I feel like you're trying to say.
That's exactly where my words were not going, but
Yeah.
my thought was
Yeah,
already.
that was good.
Thanks.
A plus quote. Go Hamlet /
Go
Billy
Hamlet.
Shakes.
You're doing it.
Billy Shakes. Anyway.
Hello!
And welcome back, everyone, to another episode of
PositiviTea.
This is the podcast where we bring you good vibes by the spoonful. I am your host, Miss Mary Lou Ryan.
I'm also your host, Jacob Kahn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're super, super pumped to be back in your ears or on your screen on YouTube today.
We are, yeah. If you happen to be watching this, you might have noticed our setup's a little different. We are in the process of moving currently, so some of our furniture is not here.
Yeah, no, it's gone. So this will be the last podcast that you're gonna see in this apartment, actually.
Yeah.
And then the sets might be kind of here and there throughout the weeks until we get settled. But you will start to see our new apartment, which I'm really excited about.
Me too.
Yeah.
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 So, what tea are you drinking today,
Oh my-
Miss Marilou?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. So this tea is called Forrest. This
Ooh.
is from Tea Spectral, who's actually, she's local to Southern California. However, she does have all of her teas available online. And this tea is unlike anything I've ever tasted before. Tea Spectral actually gave this to us. Thank you, Steph. This tea
Thank
is
you.
magnificent.
For real.
I know. So this is called Forest. So this is I wrote it down so I didn't forget any of the notes. This is black tea with orange peel, sage, cinnamon, and juniper berries. Just let that sink into your brain. Let that marinate. Let that steep.
Let that steep
for
a
a
bit.
minute there.
Yeah, I'm actually drinking the same tea, and it is a magical brew.
I literally feel like I'm in like the Lorien forest about to go like hang out with Galadriel in Lord of the Rings.
Oh, gotta get my tea on when I go talk to Galadriel.
I know, right? It's just like, I have never had a tea like this before. It's almost hard to describe. And apparently, like the sage in this tea, the dried sage, is really important. I was talking to her about it. It's the specific kind of sage from Egypt
Yeah.
because I don't know what magical, mystical creature she is that she can just like have all these beautiful things from around the world to put them in the perfect cup.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a magical blend of spices and herbs and tea, and
Yeah.
I love it.
And it's not overly piney or anything. Like you think juniper berries and you're like, whoa.
Well, and the sage is very
country.
subtle too.
Yeah, it all just blends harmoniously into just this thing that I could probably drink every day for the rest of my life. So shout out to Tea Spectral. Go check them out online.
Yes.
It's just like stunning teas, all like fantasy and like fandom inspired, just gorgeous stuff. And she blends them all herself and puts a lot of thought and time and care into it. Like after talking to her, like this is someone that like knows tea,
Knows her teas.
loves tea,
Yeah.
and is like, no, I tried all these other kinds of sages and this is the only one that worked. Like that's freaking love and dedication, man.
Heck yeah.
Alrighty, so
Yeah.
now that we are all teed up, Jacob.
Yes.
Last week you talked about for your self-care experiment taking the leap.
Yeah.
So for everyone that maybe missed last week, what does that mean and how did that go for you this week?
Well, if you've got a big goal or activity that you've been putting off or you've been dreading or fearing for a while, taking the leap is just saying, regardless of the fear, I'm going to try to do this. I'm going to stop delaying. I'm going to jump into it. So like last week I did a film project that I've been putting off for a very long time, even though it probably wasn't perfect. The conditions weren't perfect. Who cares?
Who cares?
It's been so long, and maybe it would never be perfect, but at least I got it done because I jumped into it.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been going well this week, too. I met up with a friend that I haven't seen in too long. Very, very long time. For one reason or another, but partly because I've just been putting it off. And I was like, you know what? It's time. It's time to just jump in and do the thing that I've been thinking about doing.
Yeah, and I think that's awesome. And you were gone like all day. You were gone for like 10 hours.
Yeah.
I was like, it's been like 8 hours and I haven't heard anything. I'm not worried, but I'm just like, I'm curious at this point. Like, what's going on?
Just catching up mostly because it had been 6 months since I'd seen this person.
And you guys you guys are childhood friends as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we live so close, and we just our schedules, our lives are so different. So it's been sort of difficult to get together, but also I just haven't made enough of an effort, and I just partly because of fear of jumping into things that are not routine anymore, and I just needed to break that mold and jump forward and do it. So.
Well, and I also think that's the sign of a true friend, right? If you haven't seen each other in 6 months and then you can just randomly hang out with each other for 10 hours one day and have a blast. Like that's a good friend. I'm really proud of you, honey.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. I think that's super great.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So last week, you were giving yourself time to rest and take naps and not feel guilty about that. How did that go?
Oh, it's been going great this week.
Yeah.
I was really, really busy on Saturday, which we'll get into later.
Mm-hmm.
And then Sunday, I slept for like 3 hours. I
Yeah.
had work to get done, but I was like, you know what? I'm tired now. I am exhausted.
On top of sleeping at night as well, you
Yeah,
also
yeah.
slept for an additional 3 hours.
Oh, yeah.
Not,
No, so I got like much sleep. I got like 9 hours of sleep, was up for several hours,
Right.
and then got 3 more hours of sleep. And I don't feel bad about it. I don't
No.
feel bad about it at all.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's been going really well, and just be like, you know what? Just do it. Because, I mean, a part of
Yeah.
it, there is a point in my life where I was with a person who will remain nameless.
Ooh.
And in college, I was still going through even more health stuff than I am now. I know, hard to believe. They just hadn't figured out the root of the problem yet. So my
Right.
symptoms were much more severe, much more regularly. And I napped, I think, every single day in college just to cope with the schedule and the pain I was experiencing. And I was with someone who, when they would visit, I needed to take a nap to function as a human being. And they would make me feel really terrible and guilty about it.
Because why are you sleeping while I'm here, while I'm visiting?
Yeah, like I was expected to sacrifice my health and my well-being for this person. When really, you know, I only needed a few hours of the afternoon to just recharge, or otherwise, just like the pain and the exhaustion was too much to function. So, yeah. Hey, self-discovery. It's all a journey, man. It's all a journey.
I'm glad you don't feel that from a person anymore.
Yeah, not with that person anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole deep dive spiral of just horror that we could get into, but we're not going to, because this is PositiviTea, and it's all about a journey and doing the good stuff. So yeah.
Self-care.
Self-care. I've been doing freaking great with that this week.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And what about your this week's self-care experiment?
Oh, my this week's self-care experiment?
Yeah.
It does tie into your last week's, actually, a little bit. And I wonder if we kind of have a similar one this week.
Okay.
Because, again, we always say we don't need to keep our self-care experiment secrets from each other, but we just generally don't discuss them.
Yeah.
We talk about everything else under the sun. But, so my theme for self-care for this week was acknowledge your fear, but do it anyway.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
Because it's really hard when you're afraid of something, right? And it's a real feeling that you're feeling. And it's so hard to hear from someone, oh, don't be scared. Don't be afraid. Because it's a thing that you're feeling that's affecting you. And it's not only like, you know, your brain chemistry and how you're feeling, but like your body is reacting to things. And it's like, but I'm feeling this way.
Yeah, saying don't feel the way you're feeling isn't necessarily a way of dealing with that.
Yeah, for me, I found it's not the best approach to coping with feelings or like just experiencing
It's not
feelings.
a switch you can just
turn off. I was like, oh, great. Let me try that. Don't be afraid. Let me hit this switch in my, like,
Why didn't I
under
think
my
of
left
that?
armpit. Just, all right. That was my fear button. But anyway,
Yeah.
acknowledging fear,
Mm-hmm.
but doing it anyway.
I like that.
So we mentioned briefly last week that we were doing a live panel
Yeah.
as PositiviTea at the Fan Film Awards in Pasadena, which is really, really just a wonderful, safe place for people in fandoms who create art based on these fandoms, and it's a really warm and welcoming place. This was the first year that they did panels, and we were invited to be there.
Well, yeah, the Fan Film Awards were a lot of fun. There was a lot of cool people there. It was a very safe space, and I really had a nice time.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah.
And lots of good tea.
Yeah.
And all the things. But it was our first time doing a live panel of any kind. And, you know, public speaking isn't something I necessarily fear. I feel like that's a very common fear, but I just generally don't have it. But I grew up as a performer, right? I have a degree in theater and opera singing and musical theater, but to be up in front of someone
It's different.
as yourself, conveying your own ideas
Yeah.
and in a situation about a topic you haven't necessarily talked about before,
Right.
I was really scared.
I was too.
Yeah. So what did I do? I acknowledged the fact that I was really scared,
Heck yeah.
but I did it anyway.
Yeah, we did. High five. Podcast high five.
Podcast high five.
That you can't see.
Yeah, unless you're on YouTube.
Unless you're on YouTube.
Yeah. So yeah, I was like, you know what? I'm afraid of this, and that's okay. I'm gonna write my little outline for the speech and everything, and I'm just gonna go into it and try to just have a nice time chatting with Jacob like we do
Yeah.
for the podcast every week. I'm like, it's just a podcast with people watching. Granted, the structure and stuff was a little bit different to kind of fit the theme and everything, but I think it went really well, and I'm really proud that we did it.
I am too. And, you know, it wasn't perfect by any means, but the things that we didn't do perfectly, looking back on it, like my fears about them were real, but they're not. I'm still here and I'm still moving forward, and I had a nice time in a lot of other ways too, outside of the things I was afraid of. I really benefited a lot, and I think you did too.
Yeah, we met some awesome people. We also met freaking Steph from T Spectral, who
Yes, we did.
also spearheads the Fan Film Awards with her husband,
Right.
which is amazing. I'm going to link their website down below if you're looking for. They have different events throughout the year that are all about like safe spaces and nurturing artists and creativity and just a positive atmosphere, which does fit so well with like
us,
what we're all
what
about.
we're doing.
I know, because I was like, oh, let me look into this. Oh, wow, maybe she's right. We are kind of a perfect fit for this. So thank you again to Steph
thanks,
for
Steph.
not only the tea, but for the experience and for all of the efforts that you both put into creating a wonderful nonprofit organization. So, links below
So
in the
cool.
show notes.
So great.
So great. All right, so Jacob, what was your self-care experiment from this week?
Not related at all.
Really?
But
Okay.
it's something rather small, but I've been doing it a lot, and I've actually done it quite a few times since we started recording. I've been taking a really focused effort to remind myself to take big, deep breaths, just way more often than I normally do. Because I find myself a lot holding my breath and breathing shallowly, and that affects so much.
Yeah, and like I find like I hold it in my body, like my shoulders go up, and I like crunch into like turtle mode.
Yeah. And, you know, it brings me back to thinking about where I am in the present moment and what my body is feeling like, and to focus on myself. And it's meditative and calming to do even just that action. But also just the process of bringing my brain back to here has been really helpful to remind myself to do as just a little habit that I've been trying to
I've been noticing
develop.
you've been really good at breathing lately.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is the thing that I have noticed. And I'm a huge proponent of the little things make the biggest differences.
Oh yeah.
So, like, just noticing when you're kind of tied into a knot and holding your breath and breathing shallowly, because I do this too.
Yeah.
Just like taking the time to take a deep breath. Can we all okay, this might be cheesy. Can we all just take a deep breath together right now? I'm going to get closer to the mic
Okay,
so
me
you
too.
can hear it. Ready? I hope you all did that along with us.
Yeah.
And dang, that felt good.
It has helped in every situation I've applied it to.
Yeah.
Particularly, I've been utilizing this at work a lot because I work in a stressful environment.
Very stressful.
And it doesn't need to be stressful all the time. It just sometimes feels that way. But if I can take just those few moments throughout my shift to stop and breathe and slow down and feel that natural process in my body working for me, it really, really helps to calm me down and take me out of that stress cycle. So.
Yeah, because you got to breathe anyway. You do it whether you think about it or not,
It's
generally
true.
speaking.
Yeah.
So, like, make it benefit you the most and work for you.
Mm-hmm. We can do it. We can all do it.
We can do it, we can do it, we can help with Cinderella.
Very good.
I don't know. Weird voice actor things. I was doing that way before I became a voice actor.
Cute.
Community news. Welcome to our next segment, Community News, where we take good news from you, the listeners,
Yay.
and celebrate it, give you a little shout out, and, just talk about your general awesomeness.
Heck, yes.
Yes, I adore this part of the podcast, and thank you again for wanting to be a part of it. I love it so much. And as a reminder, again, we are doing a thing on Instagram where in your Instagram stories or on your grid, if you post a picture or just some words about something awesome that happened to you throughout the week, you don't have to wait until I do a shout out. Just do hashtag PositiviTeaPodcast and tag me at Miss Mary Lou so I can find you easily. And I will repost all your goodness and celebrate, and maybe one will wind up in the podcast like today.
Like this.
Which I'm so excited. So our first one is from Instagram through the hashtag PositiviTeaPodcast.
Yay.
This one is from Panda Angel Creation. That's
Hi.
an 8 NGEL. Yeah. And crafter extraordinaire and dear friend of ours. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
Shout out. Adore you. And she said, I drove 60 miles on the LA freeway in the pouring rain and survived.
Yes.
Yes, Amanda, yes. So Amanda came out, drove in the pouring rain just to hear us speak live at the Fan Film Awards.
That was so cool.
It was so lovely.
For you to be there.
Yeah, and we went out and got food
Nice to see you.
afterwards. And I'm really glad that you survived the LA freeways in the rain.
Yo, the past few days it's been rainy here in LA.
Past few
and
weeks even,
yeah,
on and off.
it's been a little while actually, and it has been. People are so scary driving here in the rain. It's like 10 times as dangerous.
Yeah, we grew up in New York where there's ice and snow and precipitation most of the time generally, and it's like their driving happens in two different ways. I feel like either people are super overly cautious and go really slow during the rain, or they act like they've never heard of what hydroplaning is and just gun it, which is terrifying.
It's so scary.
So yeah, I mean, obviously you have to be a conscious, aware driver anyway. And I mean, generally, like winter-ish and spring in Los Angeles is when it's supposed to rain, but the drought has been so bad the last several years.
It's been a while since it's really happened.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had a true LA winter with rain. So I'm glad that the rain
People
is
are
back.
freaking out, though.
Yeah, people are freaking out.
We're so glad that you got through it because it's hard.
Yeah, and shout out to you. Thank you so much for coming and supporting us while doing our live panel, taking some pictures, just being an all-around wonderful human. So thank you, Panda Angel Creations.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're a wizard. Top tier compliment for you, Amanda. Top tier.
Oh.
Anywho, we are moving over to Facebook from the Miss Mary Lou Facebook page. And this is from Gigi.
Hello.
Hi, Gigi. And she said she had her first snow day. In Chicago, we never got a snow day. So Gigi grew up in Chicago and has since relocated to the Pacific Northwest.
Whoa.
And she got her first ever, like ever, snow day.
Snow days are magical.
I know. I had a lot of them growing up, but
Yeah.
I grew up with lake effect snow in
Yeah.
the middle of New York State. So, no stranger to like 3.5 feet of snow. But yo, isn't it exciting?
It really is.
Like, even when you're like in school as an adult, like, who
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want a snow day? How magical is that? And it's your first one? Oh my gosh. I just like, when I read this, I was like, this is going on the podcast. This is all of like the magical hope and wonder. And we kind of talked about this a little bit last week with Cindy Darling
With
from
the
Facebook.
lake effect snow.
The lake effect snow as a good thing from the week.
There's sort of a magical, wondrous sort of excitement associated particularly with snow, with kids and the excitement that comes from snow in particular.
Yeah, that we
like,
can lose as an adult.
well, and I get excited to that level about other things, but it's a different type of excitement. It's something really particular and unique related to snow and weather like that, which affects your life as a kid. It's just, I guess, so cool, and I get giddy about it.
Yeah, so
Thinking about snow days as a kid. Oh my
I
God.
hope that you enjoyed your first ever snow day.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness gracious. I'm beside myself now, even just like thinking about it. My face hurts from smiling so much talking about this. So good for you, Gigi. I'm
Yeah.
so excited for you. And again, those of you that are dealing with snow right now, I hope you took up making your own homemade hot chocolate challenge that we gave you last week.
Oh.
And stay warm and stay safe, please.
Yes, please.
And then staying on Facebook. Facebook has been killing it lately with
Killing
community
it.
news. So this is from Ashley Grida.
Hi.
Hi, Ashley, who we have heard from once before, and I really wanted to include this again as our community news finale for the week.
Sweet.
All right, so Ashley Grider, for those of you who don't know, she is a soprano, phenomenal singer. Chamber music is her jam. Phenomenally talented, has done a lot of really cool things. And guess what she's doing this upcoming week? All right, Ashley, singing backup for Sarah Brightman, who was the original Christine in Phantom of the Opera on Thursday.
What?
And also just as awesome, she cleaned the whole apartment on Friday, and that was very satisfying.
Also just as awesome,
This is
for
like
sure.
2 bits of goodness in one community news.
That's super cool.
I know I was actually talking to Ashley about this recently. It can feel like when you're an artist and you're creating things that even if things kind of do start to happen, it still feels like you're in no man's land and you're lost and you don't know what you're doing or what's happening. And
Yeah.
but it's important to remind yourself, which is why that's a big reason why we do this community news segment, to just remind you that you're awesome
Yeah.
in general, and please don't forget it.
And just shout it out.
Yeah,
Shout it out loud.
shout it out, get it into the universe. So you're doing things.
You are.
You're doing amazing things.
That's so
Whether it's cleaning your
cool.
apartment or singing with freaking Sarah Brightman, that's incredible. Keep going. What you're doing and your pursuit of your craft is worth it. You are worth it. You have value. You matter, and you are going places. It might not feel like it when you look at the day to day, but if you look back on what you have accomplished, even in the last week, month,
You
year,
go in so many places.
you're going so many places. And that's for you, Ashley, and also for those of you listening.
Mm-hmm.
It might not feel like you've made progress in whatever area of your life that, maybe you feel like you would like to be, but look back on what you've done and how far that you've come. And yes, set goals, break those goals down into pieces so you can accomplish them and be a general badass. Yeah, you have value. What you're doing is working.
Please continue to celebrate when you do things like clean the apartment.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
At this moment, there are 2 apartments that I'm cleaning constantly, and I feel you. It's a lot, and it's something to get excited about.
Yeah,
It's
we
an
cleaned out
accomplishment.
the whole new place top to bottom before we really started moving stuff in. And it felt really, really good. And then once this apartment is more empty, it's going to be a
We're
lot
working
easier
on
to clean and
cleaning
paint.
this one,
And
so
yeah,
I
for
feel
sure.
you.
So awesome cleaning.
Yeah.
Awesome reaching your goal singingness.
Congrats.
Congrats, congrats, congrats. And for those of you on your journeys in whatever endeavor, keep going. You're awesome. You are all wizards.
You're all
Oh
wizards,
my gosh.
Harry.
You're a wizard, Mary.
And you get a wand,
And you get a wand. Gosh, we're such dorks. I love it. Good news, everyone.
I have good news.
It's good news.
Yeah, this is the part of the podcast where we bring you a good news story, something the media reports on that is happy.
Happy, feel good, and again, important to stay informed with the happenings in the world, but also maybe not great to be consumed into a downward spiral by things that are going on.
Do not let the news consume you. You must consume the news.
Wow, that was pretty good.
Thanks.
A plus.
A
All right, Jacob.
plus.
What have you dug out of the depths of the interwebs for us for this week?
So this is in a similar vein to the first good news we did with the barber.
Oh, episode 1, we're going back,
In a similar sort of story.
That was a really, really good story, by the way. If you haven't gone all the way back to episode 1, highly recommend. Anyway.
But I would like to tell you about Albert S. Bennett, who, as a resident of New York City in Greenwich Village, has, over the past 6+ decades that he's lived there, had many careers, including being an actor, a reference book writer, an editor. He was in advertising. He's had 6 landlords over that time. But in all that time, one apartment. Same apartment. 63 years he's lived there.
Wow.
And when he moved into this apartment in 1955, his rent was $90 a month.
Wow.
And this is a rent-controlled apartment. So, I mean, in that area, this is unheard of. But at present, he pays $900 a month for this apartment.
In Greenwich Village?
Yeah.
For like an actual apartment that's not like a
For
closet?
No, for an 1854 townhouse.
Oh my god.
With plenty of charm, plenty of problems, and a whole lot of personality. But he's seen this place go through lots of changes that were made for him. There are 2 loft beds. One is a master bedroom, and the other is a guest bed that were built for him, or that he built. I think he built. There are wall-to-ceiling bookshelves full of books. He has this huge book collection that he inherited from an aunt. He doesn't have a closet. But what he said in response to this was, you know that old saying about old men never buying anything except for underwear and socks? It's true. I don't need a closet. Which I absolutely love. He's 93 years old, but he's still very lively, very energetic, and he's originally from California, but he's lived in New York for, like I said, about 63, 64 years or so.
So he moved when he was about 30 to New York City.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what he says about New York at present is living in New York, he's got to love it more and more the longer he's there. The only thing he misses is the ocean, but he says, I have the river, and I go there every chance I get. I just love it.
I love it. I really, and I can fall victim to this at times where I'm like, gosh, I'm so old, but I'm really not. And I would like to, as I age, which I'm going to, which I'm looking forward to aging, by the way. I know some people are afraid of it, but I'm embracing it, man, every year that
Can't
comes
look back
along,
at it.
right? And not letting your age define what you think you can and cannot do.
No, absolutely. You can do what you are focused on and thinking about doing.
Yeah, what did Hamlet say again?
Nothing else. There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so.
Yeah, see? Freaking Hamlet, man.
Yeah.
He said a lot of things that were really sad in that play, but
He was, while saying that, being a little sassy and kind of pessimistic, but
I mean, you know. But
hey.
just because you're 93 doesn't mean you can't be a lively person.
All the more reason, especially if you have that energy. If you want to be and you have that energy, then all the more reason to be a lively person.
I just love that. I'm determined. I'm gonna be the coolest old person.
Yeah.
And this is a thing that was put in my head. This isn't like a weird Mary Lou thing. I've coined a new term for myself, which is grandma chic, which is both in fashion and lifestyle. I did take my cardigan off if you're watching on YouTube because I was a bit warm. But I'm all about like cardigans, vintage scarves, vintage most things wearing mixed with like a Parisian chic style. I drink tea and whiskey and I love snuggling up with a good book. I'm like 90. I'm a 90-year-old person basically. And people started to notice, not in a bad way, but I remember in college, one of my friends at the time, she was like, "Oh my God, you're going to be the coolest old person ever." And at the time I was like, I don't really know how to take this. I don't, thank you. But as time has gone on and I've kind of processed what that means for myself now, I'm like, heck yeah, I'm going to be the coolest old person ever. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, everybody is getting older literally all the time.
Yeah. I'm
That's
older than
what-
I was when you said that.
Exactly.
Whoa.
It doesn't have to define you. You are not just the time that has passed. You're way more than that.
Right? And then, you know, wherever you are in life, just being comfortable with yourself. I love the term grandma chic. I'm not ashamed of the fact that I'm literally an old woman in a young woman's body. I love it.
Absolutely. I think you do embody those things.
Yeah,
That's great.
and I'm not ashamed of it. I don't generally like wear all the things that or do all the things or like all the things that typical 20-somethings are into. I just like what I like. That's a very hipster thing to say, I realize. But I've always been this way. Like, I started getting into vintage clothing and stuff from an early age.
I was me before it was cool to be me. But now it's super cool to be me.
But now it's
so,
super
like,
cool to be me.
You know.
I know. As time has gone on, I'm like, I'm kind of a huge hipster though. But I don't lord it over people, you know? Just because I like certain teas or because you like to brew coffee the way you like to brew coffee and I wear cool hats and stuff doesn't mean that I think I'm better than other people by any means. I'm just kind of doing my own thing and the rest of the world happens around me and that works for me.
Yeah, and these are things that people associate maybe with an older crowd. They're not. They have nothing to do with age also, right? These things.
No.
And neither does the association of age with limitations. I mean, there are things that happen naturally in the body
Yeah,
that
and
limit
things you can't control.
You can respond to those limitations naturally, but you don't have to anticipate and expect and plan for those limitations until they're real. You don't have to say, well, now I'm this age, so now I can't do this.
Right.
If you can do it and you want to.
Oh yeah, my
Do it.
Oma at the beautiful age of 66, her like local like gym spa place, she was quite a woman. I adore her and miss her dearly. And I'm so thankful that she was in my life. And when this gym got a rock climbing wall, but it was like even one of those like rock climbing walls on like a conveyor belt. So like it followed your pace, kind of like a vertical treadmill, if you will.
I didn't know that was a
different,
thing.
yes, with different like rock pieces, and it moved as you moved, sort of.
Okay.
So it's kind of like that was her favorite thing to do all of a sudden at 66.
I love that and the premise of this story, but I'm also fascinated by this moving treadmill-esque rock wall that I've never
I don't know
seen.
if that's really a thing anymore because I know in LA, like rock climbing gyms, we have a bunch of them, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was basically like a vertical treadmill, but for rock climbing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's great.
Oh yeah, no, my Oma was the perfect example of don't let your age define you.
Yeah.
And you know, she had a dirty sense of humor. She loved to cook. She loved her children and her grandchildren. And she loved to laugh. Gosh, I will remember her laugh forever. Yeah, keep laughing, keep living
For as long
life.
as long as it's possible to.
Just be your vibrant, lovely self. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so good.
So nice.
Oh, Jacob, what a lovely podcast for today.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Would you like to close us out with a quote?
Yeah, I would love to. I attribute my success to this. I never gave or took any excuse. Florence Nightingale. And this actually ties in really beautifully to a lot of what we ended up talking about today, which I did not necessarily anticipate.
Well, it's all in the same positive thinking and mindfulness mind frame.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes sense that it connects and resonates.
Yeah. Oh, and as
no excuses.
No excuses. As a heads up, we may or may not be posting podcasts in the next couple of weeks as we are traveling and moving. So, heads up in advance.
Scheduling.
Scheduling. I'm not going to apologize because life is life,
Yeah.
and we just got to do what we got to do.
But we will try.
Yeah, we will try. I pre-recorded a bunch of stuff for the Miss Mary Lou YouTube channel if you're here with us watching on YouTube. So I will have regular scheduled, feel-good, fun, cozy content over there. If you're looking for your hygge cozy fix, come hang out with me there.
Check it out.
Check it out. But as far as the podcast goes, we may be absent for the next couple of weeks. Come hang out with me on YouTube, re-listen to old episodes. Please still send me your good stuff happening in your life. Hashtag PositiviTeaPodcast and tag me at Miss Mary Lou so I can find you.
Yes.
And that's it for us. I hope you have an awesome week.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you so much for hanging out with us this week on the PositiviTea podcast. If you'd like to connect with us, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Miss Mary Lou, at PositiviTea, TEA podcast at gmail.com. And we are also on YouTube at the Miss Mary Lou YouTube channel. Wherever you are listening to us, please give us a like, a follow, a share, and leave a nice review. We would appreciate a little bit of positivity in our lives. The logo design is by Hilda Meyer Post. The music is by my co-host, Jacob Kahn. I am your co-host, Miss Mary Lou Ryan, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you on Thursday.